Alrighty, it's a late night. Going to bed at 11 o'clock. We got a lot accomplished today. So this is pretty late. I'm about an hour later than when I go to bed. I have my mom's monitor here, and I normally just turn it off, and just so I can listen to her. So if she needs me, she has her wireless red button that she presses, and then it sounds an alarm. So she's good until, let's see, 3 more hours. So that's 12, 1, 2, 2 a.m. So 2 a.m. I'll be getting up around 2:30 or so. And I'm going to get up and reposition her. Hi, I'm Dee Lovey Life, and I like to make videos about the Caregiver to a Stroke Survivor series. These videos are for other caregivers or just people who I guess are interested in becoming a caregiver, or who have a loved one maybe who had suffered a stroke and just want to know a little bit more. I make these videos to help anybody out there. I'm kind of just letting you guys kind of in on our journey, our experiences, what we have learned. And so here's bits and pieces of what it's like, I guess, being a caregiver, and kind of just giving a little bit information about wheelchair transportation, because that's something that I'm doing right now. So I'm looking online. I am looking for wheelchair transportation for my mom. You know, when she first had her massive stroke, she was totally unable to transport besides going through an ambulance. And then when we brought her to California, home with us, we had to make sure that we find transportation for her via going through the gurney, because she was just not able to sit up at all in a wheelchair at that point. So we had a service that we found who just started out here in the Bay Area, and they were great. They got her very comfortable in a gurney, and from there we went through doctors' offices, appointments, and all that stuff. And it can be very challenging to find doctors' offices who are willing and able, really able to take patients by gurney. You know, you have to think about walking a gurney through their office, and if they have accommodations for such space to fit a gurney in their offices. That was one thing that was a big challenge. And I think it was maybe after about, I don't know, maybe about 10 months of grueling physical therapy and tolerance, my mom started to actually sit in a wheelchair for transportation. So when she was stronger and she was able to endure sitting in a wheelchair for longer periods of time, then we kind of were able to upgrade her from the gurney into a wheelchair transportation part of the service that this company had offered. And they were excited for her. And it's a little less, you know, I mean, for here in the Bay Area, it was like, I think $200 to transport someone by gurney, and then it's like $80 if you go by wheelchair. So it does make a big difference. With the gurney, of course, they have to have the larger van to fit the gurney. One thing I do miss though is when we were in Las Vegas, they had taxi cabs who had these like small little compact, I guess, yeah, it's like kind of like a compact SUV where they can actually, the back of it kind of drops down to a ramp, and then all you do is just roll the wheelchair up and in, and boom, they're in the car. It was so easy. And I remember a taxi ride from like maybe 2 miles was only like $7, compared to now for a 2-mile ride in a transportation service in wheelchair cost me $80. So that is, you know, it totally, it makes a big difference in which state that you're in. And then of course they do, some states offer free transportation too if you qualify on certain programs. Unfortunately, we're not qualified, but there are different programs out there. There are income and situations that differ from each person, but make sure that you look in your own local state to make sure that if you qualify for that free transportation. We do have friends who actually use that free transportation, and there are some limitations of using that service. But the service that we had found, we're really pretty happy with it, even though it is expensive. But they mainly always are on standby. So if our doctor's office visit is shorter than normal, then they're right outside, and we don't have to wait, you know. And that's really critical in my mom's care because she just doesn't have the tolerance to stay in the wheelchair as long as we'd like to. So it just makes office visits a little easier to get to and from places. I just wish that in our area they would have like an Uber or a taxi where they can do such like non-medical transportation, and on a, you know, to be less expensive. I know that there are some, I think, companies right now who are trying to get the licenses and the insurance and to be certified. I mean, there's a lot to go into that, but I'm really hoping that Uber or someone or some type of company gets on the ball. You know, there is a big majority of people who really need to have wheelchair transportation services for non-medical. I mean, I would love to take my mom to a restaurant, you know, just for dinner or for lunch or whatever, but I don't want to pay $80 just to go to and from on a 3-mile trip, you know, that's non-medical. I mean, for $80, that's, you know, and that's before ordering lunch or dinner. So it can be expensive. So, so anyways, you know, these are just some of the challenges that as a caregiver, I just have to look, you know, around, and I just kind of want to see what's out there. I'm kind of curious if there's new companies, and it looks like there have been a few startups. So I don't know, I might give them a try. I really want to take my mom out. I've been promising her lunch at Olive Garden. I just figured that it'd be a great opportunity for her to go out and about and in a social area, and lunch would be less crowded, I think, and she'd feel more comfortable. So I'm hoping I can take her to Olive Garden on that one. We have been working with a physical therapist to do a car transfer, but I just think, you know, we took my mom in her first car ride on Christmas Eve through a Christmas light up street that we've been going through the 70s, and I'll post that link down below. But you know, and she was comfortable, but it's hard to do that if it's at night, you know, and especially if we're kind of new to the car transferring, that could be very risky, because you know, there are so many things you got to think about. You know, you got to think about the weather, their physical status at that point, especially during the day, because it fluctuates all the time with stroke patients. And if she's strong enough to do the transfer herself, because they do have to help and lift themselves and pull themselves up, and they have to have that strength. So if they're having an off day, then, you know, you have to take that in consideration as well. And, you know, you have to think about safety. I'm terrified sometimes of, you know, maybe losing my grip, or my mom slips or something like that. I would hate for her to break a hip or break anything, because that would just be another huge setback in her progress, because then that would mean that she'd be in the hospital for weeks, and then we would probably have to have her into a nursing home for months. I mean, you know, and just thinking about her spirit would probably just sink, and her progress, I mean, I don't know. It's just something I just do not want to risk. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. And sometimes the wheelchair transportation is just probably the best thing for us right now. I'm hoping that we can practice more on the transfer within the car. hopefully when it gets a little bit warmer, it's been raining here a lot, so I just kind of want to start practicing that, but just right now it's just too cold for her. So anyway, I'm looking at wheelchair transportation for her. I'm just really happy that she's no longer in the gurney part of that. If you are, I know it's rough out there, it's tough for gurney transportation, but hopefully you don't have to deal with gurney transportation for the most part. Hopefully your loved one will also continue to improve, and hopefully soon they will also become in a wheelchair transportation. So one thing I do is I use this for my mom every day. Get her pills already. But another thing, a good tip, is using a permanent marker, and you mark on the top of each prescription bottle, and you would put like I put AM, PM, AM. It really helped because if I'm not here, the caregiver or my husband knows which pill is for the morning and evening. Like for instance, this one here is for morning and evening. This one is only for AM. And then this one here is for Mondays in the AM. So it's just easier. So in case if there's an emergency or whatever, they know which pills are for what day. But of course I leave a list in the binder, but it's just visible. It's right here. This mattress is called a waffle mattress, and there is these air tubes right here, and there's a pump underneath the bed, and it pumps in air for this air mattress. For stroke patients who are unable to roll over on their own, this is perfect because it helps prevent bed sores, and you do not want bed sores for your loved one. Those can become very painful one-on-one first aid care, and sometimes you have to go to ER for those because you got to clean those out, and TMI is just too much. And we've been really fortunate, knock on wood, that my mom has not had a bed sore, and so it's good to change these out, wipe them down clean. I usually use Lysol wipes to wipe these down, and we have actually a spare usually so that we can change it out. So right now husband and I are just trying to change this out to this one, but we're trying to push the air downward so that it'd be nice and comfortable for her for tonight. And then I just have to put a fresh bed sheet and a pad over, and she'll be good. Oh, in case anyone is going to be asking, where do you get these waffle air mattresses? We got these, I think, at Amazon.com, and they're roughly about $80 or so. It depends on which one that you choose and so forth, but these work really great. Again, they help prevent bed sores, and we like to change them out every so often. They're perfect when we travel as well, so that if we're in a hotel room or whatever, we throw this on underneath, and then we put our own mattress and our own pad on there. So anyway, it's just a little another suggestion. It's my mom for you. Good job, Mom. See, you don't miss dishes, do you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But good job.
again, Mom, with your right. Lift up. Good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's awesome. 7, 8. 2 more. 9, 10. Good. And let's sit. Wow. Dun 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 dun. Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. Da 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 da. Listen to the crowd roar. And she puts up her arm, and the crowd goes wild. Queen G,